Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I am joined by designer Morgan Eilish for a game of Demonic Deals. Demonic Deals is a two-player role-playing game with a very simple premise. There is a demon, there is a summoner. The summoner wants something, the demon wants their soul. Using a tumbling woodblock tower and a series of prompts and strategic moves, the two will have to try and negotiate a contract, but be very wary of its consequences. This game was really fun. I had such a good time with it. The story that we told went in a lot of directions that I wasn't expecting, which is really joyful and, brightens the experience. And I really think you're going to dig it. You can learn more about Demonic Deals at morganeilish.itch.io or check the show notes for more information. But first, hey party people, Present Jeff here with the weekly roundup, a quick hit collection of where we're at and what's going on in our world at this very moment. Namely, today I have two very quick things to talk about. First off, hi, I wrote a book. It's in stores. You can buy it. That's kind of a really cool thing to get to say. The Ultimate Fantasy Character Creator is a collection of almost 100 character creation exercises geared towards authors, cosplayers, LARPers, fantasy content creators, and anybody who wants to flesh out their fantasy world and the people in it. You can find the book at your favorite bookstore, library, Amazon, SimonandSchuster.com. Go pick it up, and if you already have it, please give it a rating and a review. Ratings and reviews on books these days are really, really important. People are looking at those, and it really, really helps if they decide to want to make further books down the road. Which also brings me to the other thing that I wanted to talk about here, which is, hi, I wrote a book. Would you like a copy? I have a way for you to win one. Party of One is launching its first ever audience survey. We want to get to know who our listeners are, what they're engaged with, and what they want out of the show as we head into year 10. I'm going to get used to that number eventually. The survey is live right now at survey.partyofonepodcast.com. Go fill out the survey. You'll be automatically entered to win a copy of the Ultimate Fantasy Character Creator, which will be decided at the end of the month. And if we get to 50 responses, I'll throw an extra prize or two into the pool for winners. Again, that is at survey.partyofonepodcast.com. I'm going to say it one more time so that you really, really get stuck in your head so that you go and visit it. It's survey.partyofonepodcast.com. And that's all I really wanted to cover here today, so thank you so much for checking into the weekly update. And with that, let's get on with the show. And with all that said, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me.
Thanks, future me. I am really, really excited. I have been looking forward to this recording all day. I'm sitting down with Morgan Eilish. Morgan, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am so stoked for this recording. I'm stoked for this game. I think the energy is there. I'm really, really excited. And at the top of our episode, why don't you take a moment and let our lovely listeners at home know about the game that we are playing this week, as well as anything else that you might want them to know about.
Okay, we are playing Demonic Deals. It is a one-page, two-player game. One person plays the demon, the other person plays somebody who wants something from the demon, and they have to try to get the demon to agree with it without losing their soul.
Great pitch. Like, there is something so special to me, especially having played and read so many games about like a really strong kick down the door elevator pitch. Like, to me, there is something that is just genuinely so important and special about that. And the second that I read the pitch of Demonic Deals, I was like, okay, I'm in. Let's make this happen. Like, I could not have been more quickly gone from zero to I'm on board and when can we play this than with the pitch of this game.
Well, thank you.
And so with that, like, let me ask you this, as the person who designed the game and also like, as we are sitting down to go through it, what are the things that excite you about the game? What are you bringing to the table? Like, what are you looking forward to as we go through this experience together? You know, like what's the vibe that you're bringing to the table? And then I'll talk through the same answer.
Okay. I mean, I really like games where there's some kind of, interplayer tension to it. My favorite thing about this is that both characters involved want basically the opposite thing.
Sure.
The demon wants your soul. You don't want to give the demon your soul because that would be really, really bad. So they're both trying to like trick each other into agreeing to what they want.
And that's like that's one of the things that like I appreciate so much about the short pitch of it is like the conflict there is so immediate that like it's very easy to kind of just like put myself straight in the headspace of, all right, I know exactly like why this fight is happening. Like I get it. We're in the thick of it because like we're in the thick of it. I see exactly why we're in the thick of it, and I'm ready to start arguing for my soul or for the soul of someone else. Like I'm here, I'm ready, and we're locked in.
Yeah, I really I wanted to make a game that has like a very simple premise, but that it was like really easy to get that tension. I was very much inspired by games like Starcrossed, where again the two people like they want something, but they want different things too.
Sure. That's sick. It's sick. I'm so excited. And so like with that, like let's start talking through, who we want to play, as well as talking through safety stuff, what we explicitly want or don't want to come up during play. Obviously the 2-player roles are the human and the demon. Do you have a strong preference on which role you are feeling, or like what's the itch you want to chase today?
I am honestly down to do either. I have played as both when I was playtesting it with a friend, and both are a lot of fun. So what would you rather do?
I was dreading that. I knew it was coming.
Me to ask that.
I knew it was coming. I knew the reversal was coming, and I was dreading it because I was looking at both options and going, okay, these are both great and fun. What's the energy that I want to play around with? What's the playground that I want to get in on? I think the demon is calling out to me today. I think I'm looking over both of these, and I think like there's something poking at me about playing the demon that feels different and like exciting to me. And I think that's that's the character sheet that I'm gonna grab.
All right. Okay. So you want my soul, is what you're saying?
I think so. I think I am coming for your soul today. I think that feels right for this experience.
Okay.
All right, so we've decided who's going to be playing which role. What are is there anything on your list that is you are unwilling to engage with, or that you don't want to come up, or conversely, are there topics, themes, spaces that you explicitly want to kind of play around in as we play through the game today?
Okay, so this seems like it's very unlikely to come up, but I do not do eyeball trauma.
I have a lot, like it's one of my veils is eye trauma, and so I'm glad that you've made it explicit. Yeah, unlikely. Well, here's the thing, and like unlikely to come up, but also like not like this.
It's
like
still possible, so you got to throw it out there.
This is one of the it's I've really come around to the belief about safety tools that like, in scenarios where something is so highly unlikely to come up, it becomes weird to call it out sometimes. Like,
but then when you don't, it's gonna happen.
Precisely. It's one of those things of like, but like, and also this is a case where eye stuff might like is on the table because of demons and weirdness, and so I'm glad that we made it explicit. I also have a veil on like teeth stuff.
Okay.
It's and then more generally like a line on, or the other thing that is a big line for me is plagues and pandemics. Those are the things that like beyond, and then the usual things that I'll throw out are like lines on sexual violence, harm against children and non-magical animals, and I think that's it. I think those are the main things that I'm marking. Is there anything else on your list that you want to mark, or conversely that you're like, oh, I would really love to kind of like get into some of this stuff?
I mean, sexual violence and eyeball trauma are like my two big no-nos, and anything other than that is negotiable to me. So
fantastic. Great. And then obviously like we are playing this game in good faith, so we can have conversations. If a topic comes up and we're like, oh, that's like a little iffy, we can always be like, hey, quick vibe check on this before I get into it.
Yeah.
All right, we've got that locked in. And I guess my biggest question as we start to like visualize our character, because we have some things on our character sheet that we're going to fill out.
Uh-huh.
Where and when and what's the setting? Like, what is the genre, setting, play space that we are playing in today? Like, what is the space and time that pops into your head as we think about this scenario that we dig into?
Okay, so like you mentioned space, so now I'm like, what about a space demon?
Space Demon is great. I mean, Doom is close enough to my heart that I will never turn down Space Demon.
I haven't played with a space demon before, and frankly, as a concept, that slaps.
Here's where okay, this is great. I'm leaning heavily into this, and I'm trying to decide as I think about my demon.
Mm-hmm.
There's two directions that I can take this. There's two distinct sort of visual palettes that come to mind. On the one side of this scale is I think not explicitly a demon, but close enough, is like a HAL 9000, where it is like a Ghost in the Machine. The weirdness is or like an Event Horizon Sunshine kind of, the weirdness is in the technology and turning the technology into the weird supernatural space.
Okay, that sounds fun.
On the other side of that scale, and I'm not sure which side of this I come down on, is thinking about Doom, which is very much, here is a classical picture of a demon with horns and bloody fangs, but that it is also a cyborg with a machine gun arm that has like incongruously burst into this sci-fi environment. I'm trying to decide.
Both sound excellent.
Both sound good. And so I think I have to go with the Jeff Stormer option of it is both, and say physically I am an incongruous demon that like is shaping the environment around me and slowly entangling myself in the technology space around me as my grip on reality becomes firmer and harder.
Okay. Are we like on a space station, on a spaceship, on like a random planet somewhere?
I am thinking, unless you have like a strong preference, my vibe is I like either I like the visuals of structure is I guess how I will describe it. So either we are on a spaceship, a space station, like a research station that is like isolated enough, like those visual sci-fi hallways and computer panels are the palette that is standing out to me and kind of what I want to play around in. So like something in that space, is there one of those vibes that thematically jumps out to you? Like what's the kind of enclosed space that we're in that feels the most appealing to you?
I like maybe like a remote like research station.
Sure. Love that. Okay, great. And then like in part, I think because I have been I've been feeling the Mad Max pull, so like the Mad Max palette of like outside of the station walls is just like blasted desert with nothing on the horizon is kind of the visual aesthetic that is jumping out to me.
I love it. Maybe
it is on a moon, maybe it's on like a Mars style John, but like it is dirt, and it is dirt and mountain in every direction, and in this little tiny blotch of metal is just like locked, is a dot in a sea of dirt and emptiness.
I love it.
Great. Fantastic. All right. So let's start filling out our character sheet and start thinking about like, talk to us through like what goes into each character sheet.
Okay. Well, both the demon and the person need names. The demon can have more than one name. If you don't want the person to know the demon's like true name because of like, you know, they might have power over you or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. a basic description of your demon, which I think you kind of gave a little bit of an idea
Yeah.
already. And then your demon should probably have some kind of goal that's like outside of this interaction that you can like maybe try to get the human character, or I guess could be alien, on board with.
Sure. Love that.
And then for me, I need a name also, which is always the most difficult part of making a character. And I guess I should decide. I'll be a human. And then I need to come up with something that I want from the demon.
Okay, I've got all of my goodness, so let me know when you've got the same and we can rock and roll.
All right. I'm just figuring out what I want from you. I think maybe there's a part of my research station that's falling apart.
Love that. That's great. That's fantastic. Because like that also tells me a little bit about the station itself. Is if it's falling apart. If it's falling apart and you have to turn to a demon, like that tells me how isolated it is, and also a little bit about like the larger. Yeah, it tells me about who runs it, how much they care, and also just how difficult it is to get things. If going to a demon is a better option than just like requisitioning a repair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that sounds fun.
That feels
right.
great.
My character's name is Val, pronouns they, them. And they have tan skin, they're wearing like coveralls, they have a beat up sun hat and short frizzy hair.
My character's name is Evermake, which is short for the worst decision you will ever make.
Incredible.
I feel really good about it. And genuinely picture a video game. Picture like specifically either a Doom boss or a video game or like a Dark Souls boss that has been dropped into a space station. Gigantic, beefy, big twirling horns, like Tim Curry legend ass demon. Who at this moment, as I have kind of acclimated myself to the space that I'm occupying in, I think like moments after I have like stepped through whatever portal summoned me, my arm swelled and exploded, and there was a giant splattering of blood across several walls, and now there is a minigun where my arm was.
That is hilarious. Okay.
I feel good about it.
Are you hitting your head on the ceiling?
Oh, for sure. I am like crouching and kneeling. And I think like shifting, like I think I have shifted into like sitting cross-legged, and I am still hunched over. Like I am sitting cross-legged and still hunching down, because even if I sit upright, I'm still going to brush against the ceiling of the or the roof of the building.
Amazing. Okay, I feel like Val did not do a whole lot of research before making the worst decision she's ever made. Or they've ever made. And so they like you show up and they kind of were like, oh no, I should have done this outside. And they have like backed up as far as they possibly can and are kind of like half crouched on like the kitchen counter.
I think like with a with a so there's a moment of pause, right? And Evermake growls and gurgles with this sort of like guttural, violent, bileful Horus noise. And like a moment later, as though you are hearing a translator translate something on TV news, in your mind you hear, we should have done this outside.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Do you want to go outside? We could go outside now.
Let's out like a mild, what sounds initially like a mild roar growl, and then a moment later in your mind, No, it's fine. We'll just do it in here.
Okay, so I'm picturing Evermaid is sitting in the middle of my ritual circle.
Yeah.
The ritual circle is made from blood because I'm supposed to pick like 2 contributions to the ritual to start it. So I went with the circle and fresh blood. So why not make it out of blood? That's fun.
And I think the detail I'm going to throw in, reflecting of the unexpected size, is like as the circle started to glow and twirl and open up, and as Evermaid started to like manifest, the blood crawled backwards to make the circle like large enough for him to sit in. Like you watch the blood like skitter backwards like so many tiny cockroaches until it was large enough for him to sit in the circle comfortably.
This is so cursed. I love it.
And now there is like a big honking demon in front of you, and you are ready to start making negotiations, which means it is time for us to set up our tower.
Yes.
So talk us through what that looks like.
Okay, so because we're playing online, we're going to use a D100 instead of a tower.
Sure.
And anytime you do something that requires you to pull bricks, you just add like an extra % to the chance that the tower will fall, and we'll just, I guess, talk each other through what our number currently is.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And
that sounds great.
So after you like pull your pretend bricks, you just roll the D100, and if you roll below that number, the tower falls down.
Human goes first. You state the domains you have for the demon and remove 3 blocks from the tower.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So Val is just gonna hold up like clearly this thing has been repaired multiple times. I am not a very technical person, so I don't really know anything about spaceship parts.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We'll say maybe it's like some kind of like water filter or something.
Sure. Love that.
You know, something that you very much don't want breaking. And they're just gonna be like, all right, I need a new one of these.
There is a booming laugh that fills the room, and then a moment later, you called me as a repairman? Am I to be understood in this?
I mean, if you're not capable of doing it, I can find somebody else.
The laugh gets so much louder. I'm going to enjoy this. This, I think, will be fun. But also, and I need to make this clear, that I am a demon and I have seen the lowest points of humanity's collective soul. Among the saddest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, budget cuts, okay?
And I think Evermaid like pauses for a second as I remove 3 bricks from our tower, bringing our number up to 6.
Yes.
Sits for a minute and like points his minigun arm over to some of your computer screens and says, I can get your station up and running again. The usual demands are on the table. Souls, eternal damnation, the standard package. However, I need something else from you. You have missile launch codes buried on these computers. And I need the capacity for humanity scattered across the stars, drifting in knowledge, forgetting the old and terrifying ways, to fear me again.
Why?
I can call it ego, call it the essential arcane nature of demonhood, call it a desire to feel important again.
You know you can be important without people being afraid of you, right?
I don't think you quite understand how demons work.
Evidently not. I summoned you inside.
Valid. Let me roll my dice. Okay.
Okay, I rolled a 46, so
I rolled a 22, so we're still
all
in.
right.
And now we go back and forth taking our turns. Each turn we're gonna roll a d4 and add that to our brick number, and then
Yes.
take some additional actions, and then see how the negotiation works out.
Yes. Okay, so you want missile launch codes.
I want the weapon codes to your station that I may become a problem on a very cosmic scale.
You know this station does not actually have weapons, though, right?
I think as you say that out loud, there is a rumbling under the surface. And like you can see steel beams jut out from the backs of my shoulders. It does now.
What did you just do?
And you look like there's a view screen window in the lab outside of the there's a view screen like thing to the and outside you see what are unmistakably missile silos that were not there earlier like before you made this summoning circle.
Okay, were those like always there, or did you just like magically make them appear? Because if you could just magically make missiles appear, what do you need my missile codes for?
Because while I can make them, while I can conjure non-living objects to inflict pain on a living being in the physical space, requires a certain degree of human participation. I can claim your soul, but if you don't take the action to sign the contract, I can't act upon the claiming of that soul. I can form the contract in front of you, but you have to write your name on the dotted line. I can put 17 nuclear missiles out on your front lawn. Is it 17? Did I put 17? 19. I can put 19 missiles on your front lawn. It's not good to lose track of those things. It's quite dangerous. However, if I wished to exert that violence onto someone, I would need someone to push that button. Does that make sense? Do I make myself clear in this?
So you will replace my water filter if I nuke humanity and give you my soul. This seems a little uneven.
Nature of the business. We're not exactly prone for fair deals. If you want to ask for more, I wasn't the one that summoned a demon for a water filter. And this is admittedly a negotiation.
Okay, so I'm going to roll my d4 and then I'm going to see what I do about this.
Yes.
Okay, so I have rolled a 3.
Okay. So the number advances to a 9.
Yeah, well, but I think what Val is actually going to do is try to appeal to this demon's emotions, which is probably not going to help with, this guy just summoned 19 nukes. But Val is like, okay, this is like just immediately right off the bat the most ridiculous thing that he could have asked me for in exchange for a water filter. Okay, Val is like, okay, but like, so you want people to be afraid of you?
Right. Yes.
Right. Okay. If I am the one who nukes everybody, why would they be afraid of you? Wouldn't they be afraid of me?
I think he sits back for a second and like you hear the sound of horns scrape against ceiling, puts a hand to his chin. Well, technically it would still be me pulling the trigger, as you would just be handing me.
How does anybody know that you're involved?
Well, you would be handing me the codes and then I would announce my intention unless,
Are you also capable of like summoning a loudspeaker that can contact all of humanity? Is that... You can also do that?
Yeah, that's the easy part. But getting somebody to actually like give me the capacity to enact violence is the harder proposition, especially at this scale, I guess we'll say.
I just feel like there's got to be an easier way for you to get what it is that you want that does not involve me nuking humanity.
Give me a reroll and take the lower of the two results,
I
because
got a 3 again.
Great, that tells me exactly how much this works. I don't think you understand how demons work.
Evidently not. I summoned you inside.
We're not prone to the simple approach. You have to have a certain flair for the dramatic, even at the cost of, I guess you'd say, simplicity. You've got to meet me on the field that I'm playing on.
I mean, currently you're sitting crisscross applesauce on my floor, so.
Point taken. I'm going to roll mine. I rolled a 2 on mine, which brings us up to an 11, unless I want to re-roll that. And I'm going to look at my actions. I'm going to also appeal to the human's emotions and see if I can get this down to a 1.
Yeah, that might go better than me appealing to a demon's emotions.
It went up to a 4, so it went actually much worse. It brings us up to a 13. But I do think that the appeal, I'm going to go with the appeal anyway, which is perhaps this doesn't need to be a one-sided transaction. Perhaps there's a way this could be mutually beneficial. Let me ask you this. Why is it that you are asking a demon for this water filter?
Budget cuts. The boss won't send me a new one.
Boss decides that you don't get the supplies that you need to live on this station. Wouldn't it feel nice to just, even for one moment, even if neither of us pulled that trigger, to be able to look your boss and every other boss in the world in the eye and say, now I'm the one with the power. Now you're going to listen to me. And if you don't, then there are no more bosses.
I mean, I think that just gets me killed, though. Like I'm fairly certain that, I pull the trigger, I agree to your demands, I get killed, and then my soul is damned forever. And, frankly, for a water filter, not really worth it.
That feels like a good upping of the number to 13. So go ahead and take your action.
Okay. Well, I've rolled a 1, and I think I'm just gonna leave it as a 1.
Sure.
It's okay. Our tower's still up.
Let me roll my d4, see what I'm adding to the table. That's a 4. I'm gonna drop that to a 1, and I'm gonna drop that to a 1. We're pushing this up to 14.
It's at 14, so it'll be 15.
Okay, so I'm pushing this to 15.
Because I rolled a 1.
You're right, you rolled a 1,
okay.
So we're at the 5. I'm dropping this I'm dropping this to a 1. We're going up to 15, and I'm going to take 2 fundamental things to mess with this dice. One being, thought I was going to be dealing with somebody fun, and you feel that same rumbling, and for a moment you feel all of the terror and violence that 19 nukes can bring as the not the literal energy of them, but the story of them dissolves into the air, and for a moment you feel the dread of them and the fear and the horror of them wash over you, and then suddenly the earth rumbles again and they're gone. Seb's back. All right, fine. We will take the nukes off the table. If you're not going to be fun, take the nukes off the table.
Listen, I can be fun. I'm just
saying, it doesn't seem like you want to be
over
fun.
A water filter is worth it.
And I think that you have vastly overestimated someone's willingness to launch an offensive on someone with 19 nuclear missiles, but that phase of the negotiation has passed. How about this? The soul. Standard package. And
What are you going to do with it?
with your soul?
Yeah.
Demon stuff? That's for me to know and you to discover for eternity. However, let's say I fix up your water filter.
Mm-hmm.
I still want, fundamentally, for this to become a space that is feared.
My research station?
Yes.
You want people to be afraid of my research station?
I want people to be afraid of this place. I want this to stop being a research station and start being the haunted house at the end of the proverbial road. I will leave that for you. Tell me how. If you can tell me how you intend to give me what I want, the water filter is yours.
I mean, I've been fairly certain this place has been haunted the whole time because everything keeps breaking. But I don't think that's going to give you what you want.
I mean, the failings of galactic capitalism are a ghost, but frankly, they are not of my jurisdiction.
They're scarier than you are.
Well, you and me can agree on that. If I had cooked up something as evil as capitalism, we would not be having this negotiation. I would be sitting on Easy Street.
Okay, so you want space ghosts in the space station, and it's not a research station anymore?
I metaphorical haunted house, I should say.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be hard for me to acquire ghosts for you when, like, literally nobody comes here ever.
Well, see, you're fixating a lot on the literal aspect of ghosts, but what I mean is more so I want this to be a space. When people talk about this station and they talk about you on it, I want the ghosts to occupy their mind's eye. I want this place to have such a reputation of terror that it may as well be, I was going to say infested with demons, but that feels perhaps on the nose given our current arrangement.
I mean, I invited you, so infested isn't the word that I'd use. If you refuse to leave eventually, then maybe, but
Touche.
we're fine for now. I think I'm gonna roll my dice. I've rolled a 2. I think I am actually going to make another request.
Okay.
Yeah,
Since
all
that
right.
puts us up to a 19.
It does. If you want this station to be haunted by evil, you're gonna have to give me, like, the power to do that.
I think
I'm just like one little guy.
I think there is like another like deeply unsettling gurgling noise and then just now we're talking. Now we're getting into it. See, you see how much fun it can be when we start, grasping at powers beyond our control? This is what it is all about. As he is like waving his minigun arm and like you're watching like small rockets appear on the end of it as the horns slowly get like a chrome sheen as they become more attuned to this particular space. And I am rolling, and that is a 2, which brings us up to a 21. I'm gonna leave that as is. We're still in it. I think leans forward. All like I can give you all the power in the world. I can make this station an extension of your being. You want to research here, I can make you an extension of these computers and give you an insight and understanding into this.
Oh, I don't want to research here. This is where I was assigned.
Oh, well then I can turn this into a palace of ultimate power where you are able to raise your pleasure palace like Xanadu from the sands if that's what you want. If you want power, I can give you power. That is honestly much closer to what I expected when I stepped through the circle than fixing some water filters.
You start small and then you negotiate, okay?
I didn't think this when we started, but I like the way that you operate.
Well, I mean, you started with nukes. You can't start with nukes.
That's fair. I figured, go big
Nobody's
and then
gonna say yes to that.
Yeah, but now when I roll it back, my other requests seem reasonable. See, the soul stuff now starts to feel a little bit reasonable when nukes are off the table.
No, not really.
Yeah, they'll get there.
Okay, what can you give me?
What can I give you? I can give you, and, gestures towards the beams in his back and the chrome on his horns. I can give you this station. You will never have to ask for a water filter again. Water filters and wires and cables will spire out from your fingertips like water from a hose. You will be able to conjure this station from your every blink and breath. You want this station to be home, to be a palace, to be the greatest space on earth. I can give you the power to shape all of that. And in exchange, you will be, in the eyes of your boss, rather than someone to be ignored and pushed off and left for dead on, again, what is a lovely, blighted, abandoned desert planet. You will be the demon monarch of the desert wastes.
Okay. And what do you want me to do with that? For you.
Strike fear into the heart of your boss and those that are above your boss in the name of Evermaid and his court.
You have a court?
Every demon has a court.
Okay, I have rolled a 4, and I think Val's gonna agree to this part of the demand. Val's not agreeing to the soul thing yet, but Val is gonna agree to the strike fear into the heart of their boss, because, frankly, Val wants that.
So that's what, a 21 or a 23? What does that put us at?
We're at 21, so we're adding 2, so that's 23.
23, got it.
And we're still in it.
Okay. I think so excited. The beams in my back are like reaching into the walls and like wires are spiraling down, and I am becoming like connected to the computer systems at large. Okay, now we're talking. We're in agreement. This is great. You see how things work when we become a team? Let's talk.
I was trying to be a team from the start, but again, you started with nukes.
Well,
come on.
You know what? That's fair. We got off on the wrong foot. I assumed a level of hostility towards your boss that was not immediately there. That's on me. I own that. Let's talk about next steps. And I'm going to roll my D4. That's a 2. And I'm going to take an additional 2 and demand a further payment. Once you have this power, it's going to be easy to scream and gnash and rattle a saber and all of these other things. What I want is the promise that, should the situation call for it, or if it doesn't and you just want to demonstrate, ooh, I'm a scary demon monarch that rules over this space day, or this isolated formerly research station now altered to the demon monarch of the desert wastes, I want the promise that you're going to act on that power. I want the promise that at least once you will strike someone down. I want blood on your hands.
There's already blood on my hands. I made a whole ritual circle to summon you.
I want someone else's blood on your hands.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. Well, What powers exactly are you going to give me that can do that? If you're like turning me into a demon, what can a demon do?
This sounds like you are making further requests. I think
I think I am. I rolled a 1. I think I am.
I think he leans back a little bit because I think his exact response is, "Well, tell me what you want and we'll make that happen."
Can I like curse people?
If you want to curse people, I can make you curse people. Absolutely, I can make you. Are we talking literal physical curse, like you're gonna melt into the earth, or are we talking more like every time you open a door you're gonna stub your toe? How visceral are we talking with this curse?
I want my boss to suffer. And I think just melting them into the earth is just not going to really do it.
You want something with some longevity.
Right. I've been stuck on this rock for like 5 years now. Everything keeps breaking all the time. I fix it, or I'll ask for new parts because nothing's been replaced here in like 40 years. And they'll be like, "Oh, well, you done a budget cut, so we can't get it out there to you, so you're just going to have to make do." Okay? I want all their shit to break.
Sure. You want their shit to you're looking to curse someone with a life that crumbles is what you're describing.
Yeah.
I
am meet your terms of whatever it was you just acting on my powers or whatever.
Putting blood on your hands. I think that might do it. I'm gonna roll the dice here. We're at 30.
Okay.
Roll my d4. That's a 1. I'm so close to knocking over this tower is the thing. Like, I'm so close
You can do it.
I think I'm going to add one further payment here. Push me to 33 and roll the dice.
All right.
Val, here's my concern. Here's my one worry, because it feels like we're getting to a really wonderful place with all of this. My worry is that you're going to make your boss suffer. And that's going to be it.
Oh no, they've got a boss too.
That's what I wanted to get at. That's what I want to put on the table, is that really, if we're going to go down this path, I really want to make sure, again,
we could just go all the way up the chain.
We're on the same page that if we're going to do this, I want a chain of suffering to come about here is really what I'm looking for. We're still in it. That's a 52. We're still in it. We're at 33.
Okay.
I love watching this number tick up.
Suffering. I can give you chain of suffering. I'm not giving you my soul though. So.
Oh, I can't believe we're still on this sticking point. That's kind of the baseline of the whole thing.
I have rolled a 2, but I have agreed to the chain of suffering thing.
I'll take it.
Which is, I think, agreeing to one of your demands. So it's staying at 33.
It does. So so far, 2 of my demands have been accepted, except for the soul, which is doing great for me, except that's kind of the baseline of the whole demon thing.
Yeah. But here's the thing, Evermaid. Can you be a demon if you don't have a soul?
That's a great question. Let me roll my d4. That's a 2. I'm gonna offer a counter offer to bring this down to 1.
All right.
I like the way that you're thinking. I like the way that you're operating. Let's say I allow you to keep the soul.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that this perhaps ceased being a selling of the soul demon pact and became something different. Let's say you kept your soul, and in exchange, now this is, I'm going to actually then also take the action of demanding a second payment here.
Okay.
So I am dropping the soul, offering a counter offer, and demanding a second payment instead is what I'm doing here. So I'm going to stay at 2, push us up to 35, and then roll the dice.
Okay.
Because I think what it is I'm going to let you keep the soul. Let's say that this is no longer a soul arrangement.
Okay.
I want, how to phrase this? I want you to commit to being a chain of suffering even beyond those that have wronged you specifically. I want you to become my weapon on this realm. You will keep your soul. You will have a space at my court when all is said and done, comparatively much more comfortable than the other arrangement, which again, part of the reason I don't answer the question of what's going to happen when I die is that it's better if you don't know. But this, much better arrangement when the soul arrives. Fair. Or, sorry, you asked me what I was going to do with your soul.
I
did. Another one of those questions that it's better I don't tell you. Much better arrangement. You ending up with a seat in my court. And we wreak some havoc while you are around on this plane. Again, I can't physically inflict anything on someone. It's not how demons operate. But if you act as my lieutenant, an avatar, so to speak, while you occupy this world, we both get what we want. I get to wreak havoc. You get to wreak havoc on maybe people who deserve it. But you agree to act as my weapon in exchange for, well, the ability to be my weapon.
Okay, so we're clear. What you're giving me is a job.
Yes. Functionally, this has become a job interview. But I also offer pay and benefits that are pretty far past what you're currently receiving. And I know what you're currently receiving, to be clear.
Okay, so if this is a job interview, I'm gonna roll my dice. I have gotten a 2. I'm gonna make further requests.
Sure.
So I'm gonna bump that up to a 4, which I think means we're at 39.
That does mean we're 39.
Okay. Still in it.
Okay.
Let's see. So this is a job interview. What do I get paid?
Do
I get to say no to unsafe work? Do I get dental? What are my rights here?
That's such a funny, like, the demand of good working conditions is such a funny demand to make of a demon. To be clear, that's such a good, like, to represent dice pulls or block pulls in this game. Good working conditions is, I think, like, just further, like, becoming enmeshed in all of the machine, like, fully, like, blinks for a few seconds and, like, television static appears in his eyes, and that, like, guttural sort of bile-filled rumbling is now being replaced with, like, modem noises. Let me roll my
Is this
d4.
demon making dial-up sounds?
Yep, in fact it is.
Incredible.
I rolled a 2. I'm going to keep this right at 39. I'm going to accept these demands and say, look, I don't play by the rules of your boss. I actually value the fact that you would be part of my organization. To your first question, and he smiles wide, and then smiles wider, and then smiles wider, and then smiles wider with his second set of teeth, and then smiles with his third set of teeth. Obviously, you get dental. I wouldn't What kind of contract wouldn't come with dental? To be clear,
The current one I'm working under?
that's so frustrating. I can understand why you so quickly accepted blood on the hands and the chain of dental on the table, no questions asked. Money, wealth beyond your dreams. Your material wants are at your fingertips. I don't exactly know how to quantify that. Imagine what you would describe as indescribable wealth. It's in your hands. You can fill in that number with as many zeros as you want. Working conditions, your space would be yours to design. I'm not here to micromanage. You are a competent warrior wraith of misery spreading across the globe. We will have a once a week check-in to make sure that you are not feeling over capacity. And if you are, we will get you minions. However, you will be under a pretty profound non-disclosure agreement, which is to say that if you spread any of the secrets of the eldritch knowledge that you learned, you'll be dragged into oblivion for an eternity of torment.
I mean, I think if I spread any of the secrets of the eldritch knowledge that I learned, people would probably just lock me up and say I'm insane. So,
well, and and you would suffer in that context, and then be dragged to an eternity of nightmare oblivion. Like, it would be a real lose for you. So, like, the NDA is pretty firm.
Okay.
We're gonna, the work is gonna be difficult, but I think that the benefits are.
Where I spread misery, or do I get to pick that?
I would decide. You would be once we establish, I think, let me find the exact way to say this. I did not anticipate having to shift into actual manager mode here, so I got to think about this for a moment. What's the verbiage?
You turned this into a job interview.
I know, and this is such a funny pivot that I was not prepared for, that I got to think for a split second. After a brief evaluation period, once we establish guidelines for success, once the KPIs were in order, then you would be given some autonomy into who suffered. You would be receiving a misery list at first, but with the advancement possibility of setting your own deliverables down the road. I don't want it to feel like this is a one-stop dead-end court placement. I want you to feel like you have a sense of advancement.
You don't want me to feel like I've been abandoned on a space station in the middle of nowhere.
Right. I'm a demon, not a monster. Fuck, that's a 12. The tower is falling.
Okay. So the tower is falling. There's rules for the tower falling.
If the tower falls on the demon's turn, the humans keeps their soul, and their quests they've made of the demon are fulfilled without any catch. They must pay the rest of the demon's demands.
So I think that means that I have taken this job offer, for the unlimited power and spreading suffering up the chain of the people that have bothered me. And I get dental, which is pretty great.
Like I said, I'm a demon, not a monster.
Yeah. No, this all sounds good.
How does Val's appearance change now that they have become a techno knight of the Demon Lord Evermade?
I think Val has, like, all of these, like, wires coming out of them now, so they can just, like, plug into various tech that's wherever they happen to be. I think, like, Val is now, like, part computer.
Sure.
Val's eyes like, light up like robot eyes.
Yeah.
Because that's fun. I don't think they've gotten any bigger yet. I think when they are no longer living in a tiny research facility with no funding, they will probably decide to take up more space.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, I mean, Evermaid looks pretty uncomfortable in this tiny little
I think there's
apartment.
a moment after you kind of reshape yourself. Like there's a moment things get very visceral very quickly as there is like a cackling laughter, and then Evermaid seems to be absolutely ripped to shreds by the base itself in an instance. Like wires wrap around and just like tear him flesh bit from flesh bit as he like gets pulled into the walls of the station. And then from like out of a doorway walks the same basic shape, but like in a full like horn still, one large red cyclops eye still, but now just in like a very basic suit and tie, like carrying a clipboard, walks up and is like, let's talk about the next 90 days.
I'm sorry, you could have made yourself fit in this space this whole time, and you decided to sit crisscross applesauce on the floor with your horns scraping this. Like, you did this to yourself, my guy.
It was you'll get used to this over time. Sometimes you commit to the part of the performance, even if it's uncomfortable. It's
okay.
A lot easier to make deals with big giant demon filling the entire room, scraping against the roof, because it feels larger than life, than it is a guy in a suit.
I think you need to work on your negotiation skills, because I definitely got the better end of this deal.
I think we both won. Frankly, I think this could not have been more of a win-win situation. I think this is the start of a beautiful working relationship, and he offers a hand and a handshake.
Yeah, Val will shake his hand and sign whatever it is Val needs to sign.
And that is game.
Yeah.
This was fantastic. I'm overjoyed.
I enjoyed that.
What was your favorite part of play?
I mean, turning it into a job interview was really funny.
That's such a good unexpected twist, and like the way that like the real joy for me was how thoroughly once we found that exact like vein of gold, how much that yielded in terms of both of us keying into, oh, you know what? This will actually give me exactly what I want. Let's start laying out some terms and making this a great deal.
Yeah, no, I definitely think both our characters did eventually get what they wanted.
Yeah.
Even though you did not get my soul, but that's okay, because I mean, basically you just have somebody who's going to work for you for like the rest of their afterlife. So
yeah, it's a pretty great deal regardless.
It's kind of the same.
This was so fantastic. Thank you so much for playing this with me. I'm overjoyed.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
So, real quick, before we wrap up, where can people find you and your work online?
You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky as Morgan Eilish.
Well, fantastic. Thank you again for playing. This is such a wonderful game. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me.
Thanks, Past Me, and thanks again to Morgan for coming on the show. Like I said, that game was so much fun. I had a really great time with it. Like, it was... You could feel real negotiation happening throughout that session, and I think that's real and delightful and unexpected. And it went in some directions that, like, really genuinely surprised me, and I think that's maybe the best experience you can hope for. Be sure to head to morganeilish.itch.io or check the show notes for a link to Demonic Deals, and be sure to follow Morgan on social media at Morgan Eilish.
You can also find us on pretty much whichever social media you prefer, at Party of One Pod or Jeff Stormer, depending.
And if you enjoy the show and you want to support it, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Subscribe to our newsletter at buttondown.email/partyofonepodcast and join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. You can support us financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer or ko-fi.com/JeffStormer. You can give us a nice iTunes review, shout us out to a friend, give us some love on social media. You can buy some Party of One merch at bit.ly/partyofonemerch. Or if you're looking for more great podcast content, you can check out All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world building podcast that I make with my best friend in the world, Aaron Catano Saez. We take a listener submitted prompt and spin it into an original fantasy character, populating a shared universe one story at a time. You can also check out Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, which is an actual play about a heartless witch, a cozy house, and the many people making their homes inside. Both of those you can find wherever you get your podcasts. Party of One is, as always, produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. Music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming on the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And unless I am mistaken, that is all we do here. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.